Hey everyone, this is DB with Filmmakers. My name is DB or Dylan Black, and today I got my friend Quenseja.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Okay.
I think the first time that we ever met was on Stranger Things, which was
season 4.
Oh
yeah,
God.
yeah. Wait, 5 years ago.
5 years, half a decade. You've had like your own kind of interesting, background from where you ended off with high school and then going into the film industry, being in Georgia, doing all these kind of things, getting your way into set, And I thought it was such an interesting look into how, first off, you got there in the first place, and then where you go after that. What was that like first job that you ever got? What was that like for you?
So that's like a twofold. So technically, when I was 13, around that range, I was booked as background human prop for a movie called Parental Guidance. And they booked me with my violin, and I was just a kid that I guess was doing an audition for something. I don't know. I didn't watch the movie. Okay. But I don't have many memories of that day. My first day as a crew member was Stranger Things when we met. So I had been doing background before that. I just didn't understand what was going on. I was just showing up, and then I was seeing this woman, this beautiful model-esque woman, Erica Lafine. I don't know if I can name drop. I'm gonna name drop. Erica Lafine, beautiful woman, beautiful curly, luscious hair. And I had seen her on like 5 different other shows, and I was just like, hold on, like she has a job and like she's doing it, and she's doing it on different shows, and I'm like, how? Like, what do you do? Yeah. So she was gracious enough to like stop and talk to me when I was booked for Cobra Kai, like a week-long Cobra Kai thing. And she took down my phone number, and she was like, yeah, I'm running tandem unit. I didn't know what tandem unit meant back then, but I was like, if you're doing it and I can do it, I want to do it. So that's how she brought me along to Stranger Things season 4. But earlier that week, because I started as a crew member on Friday, I was Erica's stand-in on Monday. So I've been doing background on the show and standing in on the show, and then eventually I transitioned to crew member. I want to say my first responsibility was just doing the cattle calls, right? With is that derogatory? Sorry. The categories with is it?
Honestly,
it was like being like the human what's it called? Roadblock.
Yeah.
Just a lot of standing on a road.
Yeah.
And just waiting.
Well, there was one day on Stranger Things where we were being roadblocks. I don't know even if you were like on that particular part of the set, but did you ever see me fall down a well? Does that ever recall?
You fell down a well?
Yeah, I did.
Entirely. Well,
it was pretty deep. I cut my leg open, and it was like a one-way street. I think this was a tandem unit, and there was a shot of a drone going up, and it was just a car flying by, kind of being that like the roadblock. And I was like walking backwards trying to lead this like big construction vehicle, and then I just go bloop. It's funny because people were watching off from the side, and they were like, it was like a magic trick. It was like the disappearing act, because it was walking and then there was no Dylan. And so after that I got sent home with a couple bandages and stuff like that.
But PA wise, I was there for the city evacuating. I was there for Chrissy Wake Up. I had no idea history was being made in that trailer. I had no clue.
Oh my gosh.
I was there for stage days, some of them, and I got to push the buttons, and it was really fun.
Oh, I've always wanted to do that.
You haven't got to?
Walk us through. What's the button like? Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
If you guys don't know, wait, explain what the button is if you don't know about it.
The buttons. So, oh my God, I have a picture. It was such a big deal to me. So the buttons control the lights and the bells. And basically the bell rings. That shows that, we're rolling. And then you have to turn the light on at the same time. So it's a situation, both buttons at the same time, so that people don't walk in during the takes and disturb the sound and disturb the piece. And then when they yell cut, you boop, boop, ring the button twice, and then turn the light off. So it's like boop. I believe strongly in like trickle down. So if it's chill at the top, Yeah, Reaganomics, not like
Yeah.
that, but like if it's cool and
Mhm.
calm and collected at the top, like there's less likelihood of people below that being like really stressed unnecessarily, so in my opinion. But I think it was just a well-run set from what I understand, and maybe just because of that, because of leadership, they could afford to bring on some people who didn't know what's going on and train them. But when you have a set that's not well run from the top, you probably can't afford those. Um, I don't want to say mistakes because being new and not knowing is not necessarily a mistake, but you don't have the room for error.
The leader, you're talking about the leadership specifically, like that is so important. And I think that's universal too,
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it's also, I think, a element of like ego potentially, where people don't want to risk their job. Maybe
Mhm.
they want to keep their blinders on purposely.
I would say even if they are in a position of power,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this inflated illusion, like they have to be more than what their position really entails. It's really weird. I don't
Be
like
more.
it.
What do you mean by maybe we can get into it when we get into it later.
Okay.
But I'm really interested in what you're saying there with that. Real quick, what
Mhm.
is a PA? What is a base camp PA? What is a lunch PA? What's the difference between those two?
So, PA is production assistant. You can technically be a PA in any department, but you're going to find them more commonly and most consistently, the largest quantity of them in the AD department, which is assistant director's department or director's department. Lunch PA is, I feel like if you have a production over a certain amount of crew members and you have like tight deadlines or you have a tight shooting schedule,
Hmm.
you need to have lunch PAs, and they are the PAs that make sure the crew gets fed.
Hmm.
And that's really important. Marvel does a really good job of that. I will give them their flowers for that, in my experience. But yeah, and then there's the base camp PA, which, in my experience as a former base camp PA, I don't think that should exist. Not in the capacity. I maybe hot take. I don't know. I think base camp should be exclusively a job for an AD,
Okay.
just for the workload. And my second job ever as a PA, I was building call sheets next. And I think the second AD had that in her contract where she could have a PA, kind of like working from the office just next to the second AD on set.
Yeah.
And
Which
I
is
would,
that's crazy, like to me, because
I've
that's
heard.
where it's like was the idea for an AD is you work hundreds of hours to
Hmm.
get into the this union, and the idea is that like you're supposed to handle workloads that are crazy and understand how to do all these things that are crazy, and then one of the responsibilities is dealing with like the paperwork and the schedule, and like that's fall into your hands because of those like idea that you have all this experience behind you, and then having that with like someone who's just could be brand new is pretty.
I I had a few people I told some people about that and they were like, "Oh, that's ridiculous." And I was like, I hear you, I do, but in that case, there's so much going on that my second AD had to do on that show, and it was during COVID, so you had that extra added element of testing and people popping positive and having to reconfigure the
Hmm.
everything. So having a PA just pull from the one liner day out of day, background breakdown, so on and so forth, like, and just build out the call sheet. And at the end of the night, you put in everyone's times. That was really not taking that much work, if any, off of her plate. Like, there was still so much more to do. So in that way, I do support a PA being in base camp to assist the second AD. But as for like getting cast in and out of hair and makeup and doing the exhibit G and all of that stuff, I think it works better when there is an AD present because then you have a little bit more pool with people like hair and makeup. So it's kind of irritating having a PA coming like, "Hey, they said that they need this person." They're like, "Okay, I know, like go away." But like when an AD comes in, it holds a little bit more weight, you know?
First team PA. That's the most common one. I haven't really seen lunch PA like in general.
No.
Well, there's walkie PA and as well, and then there's a paperwork PA, which
Oh, okay.
you're building a movie and you're trying to build a team. How many PAs do you get for your movie?
It's a big budget movie.
It's just we'll say 100K, very small, very tight budget. What are the essential people that we need to have in order to make something worthwhile?
You need your first team PA for sure. And I feel like you definitely need background PA that would handle background, get them checked in, do all that paperwork. But assuming that the second AD doesn't have too much to do, I suppose they could handle background in that capacity too.
Yeah.
And I'd say you need a runner. So if the background PA doesn't have background that day or the production doesn't allow for many background players, then I would say first team and a runner. You need someone to just run and rip and roll and just pick up whatever, do whatever. Yeah. Or one or two runners, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know speaking from experience on Burn Offering, and you signed on to be the photographer for BTS, but you ended up having to be the runner because we didn't think through just the logistics of having things that need to happen be picked up. Like,
fun.
It's not a glamorous job. It's not a job that people dream to do, right? You know, any kind of PA work. It's the base of a pyramid, you know.
Absolutely. Maybe below that.
Oh no.
Who knows?
The ancient ruins. Dude.
Exactly.
The Mummy. Have you seen The Mummy recently? Watch The Mummy if you guys haven't seen The
No.
Mummy. You haven't seen The Mummy at all?
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Brendan Fraser supposedly what's it called? Like by awakening for so many people with that movie in particular.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet though. You gotta go, and then you gotta go
He
see
reprised his role, or you're talking about like the OG Mummy?
OG
Okay.
original
Okay, yeah.
Mummy.
I saw
OM. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? Anyway, the PAs. Yeah. How it is sort of. It's a crazy job that you ask people to do. It really is. I remember for me it was I felt like I was like appointed because it was through my school and it was the first time like it was over the summer and it was this small Christian film and every day was like 15-hour days. I wasn't getting any sleep. I didn't really like eat very well and it was just like the assumption that this was just gonna like that's just how it is, you know, when you're doing indie stuff, and I feel like that's something that people get tainted by with quite a bit.
And tainted is a great word because it's like a stain on the psyche of the people who like advance to higher positions. Definitely.
The director of Obsession, with that guy, he's talking about how just like go out and make a film, you know, go out and just like do something how people have been seemingly empowered by that kind of talk. I mean I can't really tell, but it seems to be like more inspirational, and then it just be like work your way up the pyramid, keep going, you know.
That's certainly a reality for some people, and that's great for them.
To just do it, or what do you mean?
Yeah, just to be able to do it. I think it's becoming more accessible, but he had like an insane run, and there were a lot of things in place for him to be able to do what he did, and even just the luck of him uploading that first thing that got him a lot of views and being able to go to film festivals and get chosen for film festivals and be seen by the guy that would give him the 750K for Obsession. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
something like that. Yeah.
yeah, just very lucky. And I mean, I'm glad it happened for him because Obsession was incredible. I mean, that was an amazing movie. And but yeah, it's not really that easy, but the heart is in the right place. I'll say that.
Do you think, okay, so that's the pathway, the like YouTuber, filmmaker, like Smosh and or whatever, like
Smosh. Oh my God.
or like that kind of, that's what they're looking into? Or is it like the horror YouTube internet culture? Or is it, I guess it could be both. It doesn't really have to just be one, you know.
Probably both. I do think about with who's the young man who did Backrooms? His name is escaping
Kane
me right now.
Parsons.
Kane Parsons. I was thinking about how he got so lucky because his concept was just like open source. I wouldn't be shocked if the studios went through like creepypasta saying, okay, what was posted in like 2009, and then that becomes their property, and then they can just like make whatever from it. So in the way that Kane Parsons did. So yeah, I do see that maybe becoming a thing.
Yeah, like they scour over like what's it called, scary pasta,
SCPs.
SCP numbers and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and they get like, what's the story behind the guy with the thousand fingers or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's, isn't there one about like, there's one that's like, if you see the image, you're like gonna die or something. There's a lot of those.
Oh, there's
like,
plenty.
What, do you have one that you think of?
Really, honestly, I don't know if like chicken or egg, which one came before, but immediately my mind goes to like, The Ring and anything where it's like if you see something in the mirror or like once you see it's too late. Yeah, like
We're
for
due for
sure.
that. We're due for none of those for sure.
You know what? Yeah, there
Yeah.
needs to be more paranoia in
Yes.
horror, We're not
Yes.
paranoid anymore.
No, we're just all flighty and we're like all talking about relationships,
Yeah,
trauma.
yeah,
Oh.
exactly. But that's why I like Backrooms because the idea that you can just no clip into like a world of terror, like that's kind of psychotic.
That is pretty wacky. But
But your
it's
version
like
of Backrooms, what would be in your version of Backrooms?
my version of backrooms. Oh man. Oh, I think the idea of like something getting like more and more like organic is creepy. Like you're getting deeper into like a stomach, like I don't know, like some wet noises and like it's sticky, and then like the more you get
Ew.
into it you get like stuck, and that's how you like die because you're like seeping into it. Where would you go? What would be your back rooms?
If we're going off of like what would be scary, just the Backrooms and there's just starfish everywhere. That would be horrible for me.
Starfish?
Yeah.
Starfish? Patrick Starfish?
No, that's the problem. Like they're not like Patrick, and that's the issue.
What's scary about starfish?
I'll just keep it short and sweet, okay? Deep fear of starfish. The way that they're oriented, like this, I don't like this. Patrick's like this. They're oriented like this, and they just
like
kind of.
like on like laying. You don't like the
Yeah.
laying aspect of
I
it.
don't like the laying. I don't like the laying flat and moving. They can grow to the size of manhole covers, and they can have like a lot of legs. Why?
I
Why
guess
would
I
they need to
don't
be
know.
that big?
I don't know.
And then when
That's
they
a
eat,
great
they
question.
push their stomachs outside of their bodies to capture their prey, and they retract their stomachs back into their bodies.
But, yeah. Very
Horrific. And then the
So,
worst part, they can regenerate their limbs, and they have no brains. What do they need that for?
wow. We won't go into the starfish back rooms. We'll go into the wet zone. That's mine.
So,
So, for someone like who's just, I guess, backing on the film PA stuff, what's the differences? What's something that someone should know before they go on those crazy big sets?
you need to have like a good point of contact to, figure out what your direction is. You need to be tapped in with who is going to be giving you direction. So if that's your key, if that's your department head, you need to know who to get the direction from so that you don't get confused and that you always know what you're supposed to be doing. I think that's probably the biggest thing, and then everything else kind of falls into place. Crew list, that's really important. And the back of the call sheet, know your names if you can, and familiarize yourself with each channel, all that stuff.
How do you stop from being overwhelmed?
Flow, like you just flow, and you just
flow.
it's like a confidence thing. You fake it till you make it. And if you don't know something, I think part of being overwhelmed is like having a little freak out if you don't know something, or if you get lost or confused. But if you already know, like, I can ask for help, then it's less daunting if you don't know. But as long as you just retain, you don't want to be the person who's like asking the same questions over and over again.
When it is like that toxic, situation in the past, how does that play out for you?
Well, toxic, I'll say first and foremost, comes in a lot of different forms. It could be that your leadership has substance abuse issues, and that's not to shame anyone. Everyone has a journey, everyone has a struggle, but that can present a layer of complication. It could be that you maybe got hired only because of the way that you look, and that can create a circumstance. You might have someone who they're in someone's contract and they don't really know what they're doing. So that can be kind of, oh yeah. So in the toxic environments, I would say just do your job to the best of your ability and understand that you won't be losing out on anything. Sometimes you get removed from those situations, and that's the best for yourself.
First off, if the intentions of what you're doing this for isn't aligned with who you are, what do you need to take a step back first off, right? And then next is, if they are aligned, then you need to realize like how you're burning your candle, like what way works best, and to maintain that, like whatever that percentage of like sanity in order to keep that together, then you gotta cherish that and work through it and keep your head down for the rest of the
hold on to her.
for whatever the rest is. So why do you think with that like toxic mentality that we were kind of talking about with like substance abuse and all these things, is it more just apparent in film, or is it literally more prevalent?
That's an interesting question, because I remember when I stopped working on set and I transitioned into working in the hospital setting, as I got my footing, I was like, these are all film people. They're just wearing like coats or scrubs, but it's the same archetype of person in parallel or like similar positions, and they're the same. The doctors, they're like the same as like the directors or the producers, and then the nurses are like the second AD. The techs are like the PAs. So I think in our industry, film, perhaps people have way more money to indulge in certain behaviors, and the prestige and like the bragging points of like, oh yeah, I work in film, I make movies, I take pictures with famous people and post them when it goes live, and it's just like, okay, no one really cares. But it's such an ego industry, but those same people exist everywhere else. It's so funny.
It's interesting you bring up the hospital and or the medical scenarios, because that is another crazy hour high stress industry. There's, I think, a little bit more real stakes in the hospital, I'm going to say. Yeah. The stakes are a little higher.
Just a little bit, yeah. Yeah.
But like, I think those come through because, people tend to be less guarded when they're working really hard for a long time, and then I think people get more guarded when it's like the opposite, where you're like in a cubicle or you're like working from home, but those dynamics still exist. Was there any things that you can think about for like with being, a victory when you're looking back, something, because you've in a lot of ways became irreplaceable when you were on these sets.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to an extent, I don't know, but I I do think day to day a victory for me is no one bothering me on channel one for anything. Like I have it set up. I've anticipated 4 or 5 steps ahead. No one has to tell me anything. If I can get through my day without anyone having to tell me to do anything, that's a big victory for me personally. And I assume, if really the weird thing about it is like you're irreplaceable, but if you can work in a way where people don't even have to think about what you're doing because it's just done, if you become that person that people have to think about, like we got to remind them to do this or we have to tell them to do that or not do that, then like you're bombing. But if your work is so good and so steady that no one has anything to really say about you because it's done, I would consider that a victory.
If you are someone who doesn't really know how to speak out for themselves and you're working crazily and you feel like you're not appreciated, how do you make yourself known in order to get credit that you should get?
I guess that's highly dependent on the individual, but for me personally, first and foremost, my appreciation is the check clearing. And yeah, that's the biggest way for me not to feel appreciated.
Where do you see for the future with the industry? Where do you see it going? Right.
Oof. I feel a bit unplugged, so I don't have any insight on what's happening now, but I think the big question is like, what is going to happen with AI? Is it going to take over, or are we just going to resist? Is it just going to implode in on itself, and we're going to be like in a year or two, like, hey, that was weird. Remember when we were generating fake people? Like, I think that's the biggest question. Like, what role is AI going to play in the film industry? And then, aside from that, I think we are seeing a lot of the hold that it's had on people. I think we're going to see a return to people just making their own films, or people who have access to more capital becoming their own studio, so to speak. So I think we're going to lose. I wouldn't be shocked if we lose big studios.
I understand the appeal of AI if you're a big studio business person because it's cheaper, but I don't think that's going to really translate for the audience. I think AI is, we feel it now, it's a content creation device, and it's devalued content now to be almost worthless, Well, the Odyssey and like those things where there is a definitive uniqueness to it. There's something about it that's not like computable into an algorithm, or
Yeah.
obsession.
Yeah.
And I think those viral things, even in social media, we see that, like Scoop Dee Boot the New song.
I love Dupus Kookanoo. Oh my god, because you are good enough.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I didn't even know that's what it's about. Is that what it's about? That's
What
beautiful.
when he's singing Dupus Kookanoo. That's what he's saying there. The whole song could be something different. I don't know.
That's beautiful. Is it another
I
language?
know. I believe it's German. German? German?
Wow.
Or no, it's German. German. Yeah.
German.
German.
He is the German.
He is the man. Oh my god, I love that song.
But I think for me, I don't know, I'm gonna run this by you, but like, I think it's gonna be like the future grunge era. Like, we're on a precipice of like sweaty guys in their garage with their acoustic guitars
Yes.
singing era of maybe movies, and not really worrying about like the technical things, like not really worrying about if the movie is even in focus.
I agree. I think because of like the state of the world right now too, If we look at historical patterns, I guess, after periods of strife and pain and suffering, there's usually a renaissance. So we are definitely heading in that direction of just big creativity, big expression. Hope core, if you will be the gasoline to that. Because people just want to feel good because we've had a hard time. We are having a hard time, and people just want to feel something good.
What do you think filmmakers need to be more sensitive about?
One, it depends on what story they're telling and why. I think we're better at it, but you know, and another gripe I had with that particular studio, I found that a lot of the content coming out of that studio was written by a person who had no lived experience of the stories that they're telling. And then also, according to them, because they write everything on their own, allegedly, they're not inviting those perspectives in when they're creating these stories. So I'm not saying that you have to have like, you can't write stories about things that you haven't experienced, but I do think, especially now, if you want to be authentic and if your point in telling the story is to be authentic, you need to be willing to either let other people tell the stories who've lived it, and that's more like a note to Hollywood, the people who have lived these stories, let them tell it and give them the funding to tell it, or invite people in who have, because otherwise it can be insensitive or you might miss things and inadvertently offend people or overlook something that you didn't mean to just because you just didn't have the insight on it. So I
Or
would
you
say
stereotype, or you
or
you
exactly.
you miss kind of the nuance of something, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it becomes bland, you know.
hmm Empty like a shell.
Sometimes screenwriters can be like, oh, no one gets this, like no one
hmm
understand, no one's getting the vision behind it. Like writing in general is a very personal thing. You have to separate yourself once you finish your script so that you can look at it objectively, as in like, this is my soul and my heart, this is more now, instead like a product that I'm trying to optimize. I mean, that's a very capitalistic way of saying it, but I mean it more as creating a space in between yourself and the work in order to get different eyes on it and be like, well, okay, what are they saying? What's the reason why I'm against what they're saying? What's
hmm
something that they're saying that is worthwhile to hear, and like bringing their perspectives in. Because there's also this other thing too. It's like, if I share this idea, someone's gonna steal it, and someone's gonna,
Yeah, yeah.
that's if they were gonna steal your idea and they were gonna make your idea, then is it really that special? Like, it should be yours. Like, that's, no one else can tell Q's story. No one else can tell Dylan's story except for me and you. You know?
Just that part of sitting down and putting a screenplay together on paper is daunting in and of itself. And then you say, okay, I have this paper with these words. My baby is here. And then you find a crew. That's a whole nother can of worms. Availability and then compensation and making sure people get fed. And then there's locations and then there's casting. And there's so many moving parts. So the fact that you have multiple projects done that you've gone through that process for, I just know I'm gonna see you like with an Oscar in your hand. I just know it because a lot of people might have great ideas, but it takes a work ethic, it takes a love and an appreciation to, and honestly, self-love too. I think you really have to love yourself in order to put that much time and energy into the thing that you're trying to create so that that love and that feeling and that essence can be shared for other people. Yeah, like you're like a love bender. You know what
You'd
I
be
mean?
surprised.
It can seem like a punishment too.
What color would you describe yourself?
Ironically enough, I know it's not technically a color,
Mm-hmm.
it's a material, a coating, if you will, but Vanta black. Yeah, that's it.
Fanta black? Vanta
Yeah,
black?
Vanta black. Yeah,
I'm looking
it
this up,
is
guys.
the darkest.
Chat, can we get this in It's
Yeah.
man-made.
I was also man-made.
I get good points.
Yeah.
Very good points. Me, I was built different, so it's a very dark black, and it's like it's almost the whole of what you see. What makes you choose that one?
Because of the void. I feel like I myself a bit of a void. You know,
What?
I absorb a lot. That's kind of been my thing throughout life. I've absorbed a lot, and I'm so cool as Vanta Black.
Cool. Very cool. I think
about you?
that's the one on the record. Man, I don't know. It changes every day. Like it's not your favorite color. It's the color that describes you. And now I'm thinking of myself as like a beige.
Wait, beige is great.
Beige is
What does
great.
beige say? What does it resonate for you?
It's just like right now it's resonating in a street that you're walking away with your friends. Maybe it's the 1990s, and you walk down the street. Oh no, you're clipped. Oh no, now you're inside of this dark abyss, this endless hallway, and it's all beige color, and it's slightly getting moisture and moisture. And you're going. I want to thank you, Q, for being on the podcast today. It has been really fun. Remember, if you guys have an opportunity, please watch The Burnt Offering. It's available right now, and it's going to be in the link. It's going to be in the description below. Q, do you have anything you want to shout out or bring attention to?
Yes. For the viewers, Dylan, give me your hand. But Dylan, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy to be a part of whatever you're doing. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm so excited for everything that you're achieving and will achieve. And you're making the world such a beautiful place by existing.
All right, guys. And thank you so much again for watching. Have a good day.